Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk going live right before the NFC Championship game. And I've taken a week off. I hope everyone is well. But I've taken a week off to kind of just rest and get my legs back beneath me before I dive back into a lot of things that have happened since the Rams lost to the Packers. Hey, what's going on, Rams House and Raymond GF? Glad you guys could make it. What's up, La Savage Gamer, Preston, Renee House, Giovanni Larios? What's going on, everyone? Good to see you. Good to be back. How is everyone feeling? I know there's been a million things going on, from Brandon Staley leaving to bringing in Raheem Morris and Joe DeCamillas and John Johnson and Joe Barry and Jared Goff. Today is Sean McVay's birthday, so happy birthday. I think he's 25. He can rent a car finally. Let's see. Oh, Rams House. Everyone, head over to Rams House on YouTube if you get a chance. He is 16 subs away from 1,000, and he's really caught in fire lately, so big shout out to Rams House. So don't forget to find him here, and congrats on that. That's a big deal. What's up, Kyle? The only reason we lost is because we were too beat up. Raymond, I think that if you want to go back, I'll start with the Packers game. And what's up, Liz High and Dan the Ram fam? And I think, yeah, we were beat up, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers is he's on another level, and he really just had like total control of that game. He had total control. Like we talk about Goff and his audibling, or McVay being in his headset, and it's like, can Goff reading defenses, reading the game and understanding, and Aaron Rodgers just was pulling the strings in that game. I think the better team won. We were beat up, even if we were 100%. If we had Cooper Kupp and we had AD full strength. That would have been interesting if Andrew Whitworth had another month of healing and getting back. But I just feel the Packers were a better team. The Rams had been too inconsistent this year, and the Packers pretty much played almost mistake-free football in that game. And the question 3, what's up, Chuck? Good to see you guys. Well, Renee, I mean, you're totally right. Like I said before the game, that if the Rams had Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers was on the Rams, they win the Super Bowl. Like, the defense is lights out, and you get a quarterback that is, the number 1 quarterback in the league this year. I mean, Mahomes is there, 50-50, take your pick, but that's you just have a quarterback that can come in and just can completely do anything they want, and then you add the Rams' talent offensively around him, and AD was injured, or was frustrated by the injury, and that sucks. He works so hard, and he gets clipped right before that final game. What's up, Nanny 1280? Rams House, it's good to be back. Yeah, it is. I just needed a little decompression and so much stuff I feel like I missed, but I want to get to it with all you guys, and just I feel moving on from the Packers game. There are so many questions this offseason. It's going to be fun, and what I was really thinking about is, hey, what's up, La Ramelia? Is that going into this season with COVID and everything, and like Brandon Staley was hired, and like no one knew who he was. It's not like Raheem Morris, where everyone knows who Raheem Morris is. Brandon Staley, yeah, you might have heard the name. He was an assistant position coach. So coming in, you had no idea. I did a lot of research on Vic Fangio defenses before the season started, and I felt pretty confident because Vic Fangio's defense really stymied the Rams, and he's a really good defensive coordinator and defensive mind. And if Brandon Staley could just bring some of those principles, and when he said position versatility and he started drafting all kinds of DBs, you kind of understood where this was going. But with Raheem Morris, it's I don't really know where it's going to go. But I just going back to it, like no one thought the Rams defense would be number 1 defense in the league. Like it happened. It was crazy. We didn't see it coming. That would talk about something that, I thought the Rams defense would be good and improved, but it just was not. It was not. No one had that in their radar. I see a few questions in here. A few people talking about Deshaun Watson and Matt Stafford. Now, I think that there's no way the Rams get Deshaun Watson. There is no way. If you're the Texans and you're moving on from Deshaun Watson, you're going to do what's in your best interest. And the Rams do not have the pieces compared to other teams. Other teams just have way more pieces, way more desirable pieces. Look at the Jets. Look at the Dolphins. Look at the 49ers. Look at the Colts. Like all these teams, if the Texans can get back the number 2 pick, the number 3 pick, plus Tua or Sam Darnold, plus a number 1 from another year or another, more picks, then I think that's way more enticing. Like no one, honestly, the Texans are like, hey, well, at least we get Jared Goff and a pick next year. Like there's no way they're doing that. There's no way. Now, there's a difference between wanting something to happen and it actually happening. And the Rams it's not going to happen. Stafford, on the other hand, I feel like he's just not going to be in play with the Rams because, like I said, they don't have the capital, and they're not going to do a cute like Goff. No one's taking Goff. No one is taking Jared Goff in a deal, and the whole Jared Goff thing really is unfortunate because of his salary. And I'm hoping this is the last remnant of what the Rams had done a couple of years ago when they extended Gurley, when they extended Cooks, when they extended Goff, well before they had to. And now with Goff, what the problem is it's not like, oh, Goff or Wolford or bringing in another guy. You just can't do that. You have no flexibility because you have no cap room. You have no cap, and they didn't need to extend Goff when they did. They didn't need to, like Goff and look at Trubisky. Trubisky's coming up on his 5th year. Goff is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So last year was Goff's 5th year option, but the Rams extended him before that, and imagine if they just picked up the 5th year option on Goff, which would have been 2019, and his numbers were down compared to 2018 when they extended him. I guarantee you he doesn't get the payday. So if anything, the Rams just need to finally learn their lesson of extending people. Now, AD, no problem with AD. I think we all get that. But they're not going to trade Goff. No one's going to take Goff. If Goff was playing 2018 style and he just came off of that year and he had this contract, then I could see it. I could see it being a little more doable, but his stock is at an all-time low. And he's owed so much. And I think the problem with Goff for fans is not so much his performance, but his performance relative to how much he's getting paid. So, like, hey, what's up, Preston? I think no, they didn't fire Sean McVay. It's his birthday. I think that if Jared Goff was making $10 million a year, it'd be like, cool. Like he's in that range, but he's not a $35 million a year quarterback. He is not. So I think that's really just this situation with Goff, and I don't want to get to that. I guess I'll just jump right into that because right after the Packers game, Sean McVay said that Jared Goff is our QB right now, and that doesn't really sound like if Sean McVay was 100% cool with Jared Goff and said and in his mind he's like Jared Goff is our guy for 2021, he would just be like, yeah, he's our guy for 2021. But instead he made this blanket statement of every position is open to evaluation and competition. But I guarantee you, Jalen Ramsey's not competing, and there's no evaluation needed there. Aaron Donald, there's no evaluation needed there. Pretty much Cam Akers or Andrew Whitworth, no evaluation needed there. Darius Williams, same thing. Like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Like if you're good and everyone knows you're good, there's no evaluation. But if it's questionable, that's what he's going to say. He's our quarterback right now because anything could happen between now and then. So moving on from him, I think honestly, if you could just swap even Goff with Stafford, it would be a marked improvement because you look at Stafford's numbers with the woeful Lions, and it's actually very impressive. And that would be a good swap. But I mean, I honestly think that going to the Saints or the Colts or the Niners is really where Stafford's going to be. Those are probably the top 3 options for him. Yeah, and he didn't say our QB. He just said that he was a QB. That stuff. I think the confidence for Goff is at an all-time low. And I mean, he did in the playoffs. He performed well. He did. He didn't turn the ball over. It's kind of crazy when all you ask from a quarterback that's getting paid $35 million a year is please don't turn the ball over. That's not how you should be thinking about it. That's not how you should be looking at your top quarterback. I see here, is Raheem Morris going to move us to a fourth year or keep us at a 3-4? I don't know. Now, see, when it comes to the defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris, which I think is a good hire, I mean, we'll jump into that. Raheem Morris, what his scheme will reflect the personnel. So whoever the Rams get in free agency and in the draft will start telling us what they're going to do schematically. I don't think the Rams are going to just pivot 180 degrees from what they were doing with Brandon Staley, because pretty much that was a defensive back heavy quarters scheme where you use more defenses like a cover 4, whereas Raheem Morris really utilized, I want to say, a cover 2, cover 3, or cover 1, cover 3. So not as many DBs, more linebackers, more people around the line of scrimmage. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Aaron Donald has played in a 4-3 before, so I don't think it's going to be too crazy. I'm just curious to know how he adapts with the personnel that the Rams have, because maybe he was running a 4-3 at Atlanta because that's just based on the personnel that he had there. I mean, they had Grady Jarrett, they had Dante Fowler, but they weren't an elite defensive unit at all. But when he took over as head coach, we've all seen this, that they actually they played harder. And I think what Sean McVay, I mean, I kind of look at this as a bro deal, because McVay and Raheem Morris have known each other. They've been on the same staff twice, 2 different spots, Tampa Bay and Washington. And I think that they, McVay trusts him. It's like you think about these movies as someone in power. What's up, William Ramirez? I think that, you just need someone that you don't have to worry about. And I think when Brandon Staley came in, McVay, here's a guy who's new to the organization. And let's see here. He doesn't have to babysit Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris has been a head coach twice. He's been defensive coordinator. He's been a wide receivers coach. One thing about Brandon Staley that the Rams really liked, and I think what made Brandon Staley successful, is that he used to be a quarterback. And when he saw the game, he was able to see a game through a quarterback's eyes and mentality. And that's how he was able to kind of design his defense. And you look at what they did with, having so many DBs out there that, John Johnson was the team's leading tackler. He was safety. So they kind of took, the traditional middle linebacker racking, Micah Kaiser, who knows how many tackles he would have had if he didn't miss time. But Moore's defense in Atlanta collapsed more than any other team in the league. They consistently gave up big leads and lost to lose many games this past season. Yes, I totally agree. But at the same time, the personnel on that side was not anywhere near the personnel that the Rams have. Like if there's an Aaron Donald or a Jalen Ramsey or Darius Williams or John Johnson and Jordan Fuller and Leonard Floyd and all these guys, like he didn't have those guys. Also, when he became head coach, the team played harder. There was more accountability. That's really what he wanted to do, is make sure everyone is accountable. And also, I don't know if you guys remember, I watched that game, like second to last game of the season, perhaps, when they played Kansas City, and they were in that game. They could have won that game against Kansas City. It's just Atlanta offense did nothing. And they held Kansas City to 17 points, I want to say, in Arrowhead. So if you look at the second half of the season, especially when Raheem Morris took over, the overall team played tougher. And I want to say there was only one game, maybe 2, but only one game where I think the opposing team scored, 2 games where the opposing team scored 30 or more, and everything else was under 20. So, the defense played harder. Those blowouts at the beginning of the season, like against Dallas and a couple of those like epic meltdowns, were not, he was defensive coordinator, but a lot of those times, if the offense has a lot of turnovers, you're not doing the defense any justice. Listen, I'm not trying to exonerate him of everything, but I do think he's capable. It's like you give someone a huge upgrade in personnel and, see what they can do. I'm going to be interested to see who the Rams bring in on the defensive side of the ball, some players. So So John Johnson's gone. I think we can all move on from Josh Johnson. I mean, not in a bad way, but he pretty much said as much during his Instagram live stream. He said he was fired on his day off, but I mean, I don't think you're a free agent. You're not fired. I think what he was saying is that he saw the contract extensions that Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Jalen Ramsey, a lot of these guys were getting, and he didn't get one, so he's like, okay, I guess I'm out. They don't value me, and Rams don't give extensions to safeties. Granted, I mean, who knows what happens on the market, because this year there are actually a glut of safeties, free agent safeties. I mean, there are at least 5. John Johnson's in the mix in the top 5 of safeties that are available. The cap's going to be depressed a little bit, so not as many people, not as much money to spend. Aiden Holohan, I don't think we're strapped. The Rams are strapped for cash. So at the same time, every time we think that the Rams are strapped for cash, they'll go out and sign Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Jalen Ramsey. You know what I mean? You're like, how did they do that? They had no money. And they just re-signed 3 dudes. So there's always a little bit of wiggle room and, massaging the salary cap and all that stuff. And real quick before I continue, guys, it's really good to be back. I see a lot of action happening in the chat. Sorry, I can't keep up with it. I'm just trying to get my preamble out. But if everyone can hit the like button and pump this, send the signal out to the masses. If anyone's watching this and isn't a subscriber to the Rams Talk channel, please subscribe. I appreciate it. I really had a good go this season. All you guys have been really, really awesome. And please let me know in the chat here if there are any topics specifically you want me to cover when I just come at you with my regular videos. So I know that. Thank you, Samuel. And thank you, La Ramelia. I think we draft a safety. So essentially we have 4 safeties. With John Johnson gone, we have 4 safeties. We have Burgess, Fuller, Rapp, and Nick Scott. I'm sure we get another safety in there. There's one name in particular. I mean, who knows who Raheem Morris brings from Atlanta? Keanu Neal is a free agent. He was a first-round pick, 17th overall out of Florida. He's a safety, but 2 years. He almost missed all of 2 years with injuries. This past year, he had about 100 tackles, so maybe Keanu Neal is a guy to bring in, but I don't know how much his price tag is. John Johnson, Josh Reynolds are gone for sure. Totally agree. Keep Leonard Floyd at least for the next year to give us a chance to see what's going on with Trey Los's knee. Renee House, I totally agree. Someone asked me before, who would I rather have, John Johnson or Leonard Floyd? And I think definitely Leonard Floyd, only because of the depth issue. So like I just said, at safety, we have 4 guys on the roster, not including maybe some practice squad dudes, but we have 4 guys. And but at edge, we have Leonard Floyd, who played pretty much every snap on one side. And then on the other side, it was a rotation of Ebicon, who's gone, Terrell Lewis, who missed like 9 games because of his knee. Not feeling too optimistic about Terrell Lewis' ability to stay on the field. Justin Hollins, who was actually a really good find. So I'm happy about that. And also Obo. So none of those – I mean, now if you're really rotating those 3 guys and then you don't have Leonard Floyd, then you're rotating those 3 guys out of 2 spots. Obviously, the Rams will pick up some depth there, but I feel it's really incumbent upon them to keep Leonard Floyd. However, there are teams out there that need edge help. This is not a deep edge draft. So, you look at teams like the New York Jets, tons of cap space, don't really have an edge player, like a solid edge player. So I don't know about the Chargers, because you just look at Brandon Staley going to the Chargers. Do the Chargers, do they need help at the edge position? They have Joey Bosa on one side. Does Leonard Floyd make sense on the other? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I that's the thing. I think Leonard Floyd, I hope he doesn't follow Staley. I mean, Staley got the most out of him. He maxed out his potential, and it's still in LA. So who knows what the Chargers are going to do? I don't know what their cap situation is. I'm sure their cap situation isn't bad, mainly because the quarterback makes no money, Justin Herbert. I think Terrell Burgess definitely is going to be a good safety. He showed flashes. In fact, the game he was injured in this year, he did really well. what we drafting. So it just depends on who we lose in free agency, right? So let's say we lose Leonard Floyd. Let's say we lose John Johnson. We're going to lose Josh Reynolds, Samson Ebukam. Who knows? Like, do we lose Austin Blythe? I don't think so. I think we keep Austin Blythe. Draft a QB in the later rounds in April. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so. But I feel like the Rams might try and just roll the dice with Wolford and Goff next year, and then maybe take a QB the following draft, because Goff is definitely going to be with the Rams at least for one more year, most likely two. But I don't feel you really have to push the quarterback button next year. The year after that, if they bench Goff halfway through the season, that's fine, because then they can release him after that season with only owing minimal dead cap money. So what's up, Alex? Rams dude. Good to see you, man. I honestly didn't like the Morris hire, mainly because he hasn't been known to have an elite defenses underneath him. He's had a few good seasons. Yeah, I think it just depends on, I think before, especially in Atlanta, he was probably, driving an Acura Integra, right? Now he's driving, a GT, right? So he's getting into much nicer, more powerful, more capable car than he was in Atlanta. I mean, no one going in the last year, no one was like, hey, Atlanta's defense, they just didn't have the personnel. So I know they got Dante Fowler. But, I think here's another thing, to keep in mind is that, coming into the season, we were all freaking out. Oh, man, Corey Littleton's gone. We lost Dante Fowler. Where's our pass rush going to come from? Our middle linebacker spot is going to be up in there. Marcus Peters is gone. And what happened? We got better, right? So every time you think, you're losing guys, like we lose John Johnson. Don't get me wrong. I love John Johnson. He was wearing the green dot. He was like the mic. He was calling all the plays. But, I think they know Sean McVay and Raheem Morris. They know what personnel, they know what scheme to run. And I think, Alex, to get back to your question or your statement, I feel like Sean McVay just needs a general on the other side, whereas Brandon Staley, maybe because it was his first year and with all the COVID stuff, he didn't really, he's still getting onboarded to the team and everything and implementing a new defense. So McVay had to be maybe a little more hands-on than normal. And I'm thinking that right now he's just like, no, man, you come in, you know what to do, and I don't have to check in on you. And I think that's really what he's looking at, because he wants to spend more time on the offense and really manage that. What's the future of Taylor Rapp after this year? Well, they have him on contract for 2 more years because he was a second rounder. So, yeah, 2 more years under contract for Rapp. Let's just hope he's healthy. Jake Ellenbogen proposed this week the Rams should trade Goff for picks and then try to trade up to the first round to get Trey Lance. So, listen, I know it's a buzz. I know it's a buzz. By the way, if you go back, I did a Rams talk with Jake from Downtown Rams, Downtown Sports, and we just did hypotheticals. And my hypothetical at the time is like this during the bye week, the Rams bye week after the Dolphins game. And I said, hypothetical trade, I'd love to see Goff and picks for Deshaun Watson. Go back and look at the tape. That's what I said week 9. Okay. His hypothetical was Goff for Drew Lock. So anyway, just letting you know, I was on it back then. But here's the thing. Who's trading for Goff? Who's coming off of a 20 touchdown, 17 turnover season, who looks to be regressing, and who is owed $100 million. No one's doing that. No one's unless there's a team that just is like, we have so much cap space, and we want Goff stock is at an all-time low. Although he still is, Goff is like what? He's not in the top 15 quarterback. He was not a top 15 quarterback this year. It's kind of like, imagine if a team was trying to trade. Trying to think of a comparable person. that's like young and makes a lot of money, but is not great. So I don't know. I'm not feeling that. There is a difference between fantasy and reality. No one's going to trade for Goff, his contract, and give up multiple picks. There's no way. There's no way a team. So this is the thing, and this is why the Jets will most likely or could move on from Sam Darnold, is because Sam Darnold, what is this going to be, his fourth year next year? I can't remember. Fourth? He's already been in for 3. This is his 3rd year. Even though I feel like Sam Darnold is still a good quarterback in this league, given a good situation, he's going to command a high salary and a contract extension in 1 year. Why would you go there when you can draft someone who then resets your clock? That's when Goff was making the rookie minimum or the rookie wage. That's why the Rams are going out and spending money on everything, because they had it. Same with when Colin Kaepernick was balling out as a second-year player. Russell Wilson. That's how those teams. That's how you do it. You have to strike during that window. And I don't think any team's going to be like, hey, let's just destroy our financial flexibility to bring in an average quarterback and also give away picks, which means the picks are your lifeblood to balancing your roster. And that's why the Rams have been so great, because they've been nailing those mid-round picks year after year after year. And that's why they're so top-heavy with Jalen Ramsey and Jared Goff and Kupp and Woods and Aaron Donald and all those contracts, and Whitworth and Higbee, and Leonard Floyd and Ashawn Robinson, because everyone else, for the most part, are still on their rookie contracts. And so that's what you have to do. And that's what good organizations do. They just keep it coming up. And I'll tell you this, not only have the Rams been amazing in terms of drafting, but they're coaching up of players, not just selecting them, but turning them into solid rotational. Look at Darius Williams. Darius Williams, that's a perfect combination of talent scouting, finding a guy, grabbing him, bringing him over, and coaching him up. And the Rams still have Aubrey Pleasant, right? They still have Eric Henderson. They still have a lot of good coaches on that staff. John Barry is out. And the linebackers coach, assistant head coach, he's out. But, it's going to be next man up there. Let's see here. Yeah, I feel Goff can be better. I really do. But there was a play that in the Packers game, and it was a play where Jared Goff took off and scrambled for 5 or 6 yards, but there was a guy open downfield, set 2 levels downfield, and he just never saw him. And I don't know how many times, and all quarterbacks do this, but I felt like this was a common thread with Goff. He just wasn't looking downfield enough. He was taking, if 2 guys are going out and there's a mid-range, a short, an intermediate, and a long, and they're all open, he's really focused on the short or intermediate guy. He's not focused on the deep guy. And I think you go back to 2017, 2018, and he was progressing downfield. Granted, he had time, but this was on a rollout, and he had time to heave it, and unless he vastly underthrew it, it would have been a completion. So, I think with Goff, it really is, and this is, I think, what frustrates McVay is, yes, he doesn't want Goff to air it out every play. Those are low percentage. But at some point, you got those plays, the deep plays, they're in there. Those options exist, and it's almost like the inability of Goff to see them this year. Devin Hodges. Angel, who is Devin Hodges? Devlin Hodges. I think so. I think if we're talking about, Goff reads short to long, Rodgers reads long to short. We need to get a Goff to read more like Rodgers, which will yield the explosives that McVay is talking about. I totally agree. And he's done it. That's the thing. But Devlin Hodges. Okay. Who's Devlin Hodges? Sorry, guys. Kyle, real quick, in the offseason Discord, I messaged you on Flick about I traded a 6 for Minshew. Would you be opposed? Not great, but doesn't really turn the ball over and provides cheap competition. I mean, a 6 for Minshew, yeah. But at the same time, Kyle, I think that John Wolford can do what Minshew can do. So I'd rather just roll with Wolford and keep the pick. We can cut Witt. Yeah, we can cut Witt, but I mean, I feel like we roll one more year with Witt. But I think in terms of drafting, I want to see what the edge situation is. I know this isn't a great edge draft, outside linebacker draft, but maybe at the second round, there's a good value there. There's a good pick for edge there. I think edge, I feel middle linebacker. And obviously, I think defensive back, Troy Hill's a UFA. I don't think Troy Hill's going to be back, depending on what his market is. I mean, he definitely elevated. Rams just signed QB Devlin Hodges. Let's be real. Goff was scared of throwing deep because he was scared of being picked. Yeah, but the thing is he was getting picked on short passes. How many times I think he had 2 or 3 of those interceptions where he was trying to throw to a screen and just threw it straight to a defensive tackle. There was one against Miami and one against San Francisco for sure. Could have sworn there was a third one. Now, Devlin Hodges, hey, listen, I feel like if you're at that point, just give Bryce Perkins a shot, to be honest. But I feel like with Wolford, I wouldn't sit there and go like Wolford is like a complete upgrade, but I don't think Wolford is much of a drop-off from Goff, right? So I feel like maybe he's a little safer, but I don't think they're going to, unless if there's a guy who's as good or not as good as Wolford, then I don't know why. McVay had a dual threat like Wilson, Mahomes, Watson, Jackson, or Josh Allen. They would be way better in playing right now. No one's arguing with that. I mean, Josh Allen, can you imagine Josh Allen on the Rams? Or even listen, I thought about this. I never said it out loud to anybody. But I thought if the Rams just had even Matt Ryan this year, they just had Matt Ryan, right, running that offense, I mean, I know he's not a dual threat, but still just decision-making wise. If you're Ernest Goff, it's hard to grip the ball strong enough to throw deep when you've got 3 pins in your thumb 3 weeks after breaking. Yeah, Renee, you've got a point, but he just wasn't doing that all year. Yeah, the one-game sample size of Wolford, but I think with Wolford is like, okay, remember when Sean Mannion was the backup? And you're like, man, if Mannion gets in a real NFL game that matters, we are totally screwed, right? Sean Mannion is terrible. Whereas Wolford is definitely can keep you afloat. He can totally keep you afloat. He can win a couple games. So Teddy Bridgewater's under contract. I feel like Carolina, depending on who's there when Carolina picks, they will either go for a quarterback to, sit a year under Teddy B. Otherwise, they'll go with another player, perhaps Panay if he's there. Yeah, I think Borealis, good to see you. I think Goff has a fire lit under his ass. I think that now it's go time for him. Okay, NFC Championship game is on. Who you guys? I like Bryce Perkins. Who do you guys want versus who do you think is going to win this game? For the record, I hope the Super Bowl is Green Bay and Bills. I can't stand Tom Brady, so that's off the table. The Chiefs, it's time for the next team. It's time for the next team. And plus, Nick Wright pisses me off, so I just do not want the Chiefs in there. Hey, so everyone who's leaving for the game, enjoy the game. Bucks versus Chiefs, that's what you want. Packers, Chiefs, and Packers in Super Bowl. Go Pack, go. Packers, Bears. John Ross. Hey, I'll take John Ross on cheap. No, all day. Packers to win. Yeah, F Brady. Totally agree. Green Bay versus Bills. Appendix. I'm with you on that. Packers win today and lose to the Bills. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. But part of me kind of wants to see Rodgers get a second Super Bowl ring. That just would be, I think, really cool for his career and kind of cement him in the all-time greats. That being said, if Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers had switched teams and were on different teams their career, Aaron Rodgers would have a lot more Super Bowls and Tom Brady would have less. That's just a fact. You play in the NFC East. Well, the NFC Sorry, the AFC East, that's pretty garbage, whereas the NFC North was also kind of garbage. Goff is bigger 2.0 when the fire under fire there, yeah. Yeah, Van Jefferson is going to have to be the deep threat next season. The Rams won't bring in a speed guy who only takes the field to run nines. I'll tip off yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, and one thing I didn't talk about was that the Rams got a new special teams coach, Joe DeCamillas, and I think that's great. Bonamego was not good this year. But I think what the Rams also need to look at is getting a dedicated return man. Like Nasimba Webster was just totally mediocre to me as a return man. So I think the Rams actually need to get a fast guy and to stretch the field, but also for a receiver, but also on punt returns. All right, everyone who's taken off for the game, awesome, no problem. Let me know. Hit me up on Instagram. Leave me a message or come back to this video in the comments. Let me know what kind of stuff you want me to cover this offseason. I'm going to be tracking the coaching stuff, obviously the personnel, free agents, who's leaving, who we might want to get, and then also draft. And I hope to have some other special guests on the show. Cam Akers is a stud, dog and a baller. Nasimba Webster sucks. Yeah, Nasimba. I think Nasimba is just a better receiver than he is returner. Van route runner, speedy guy. I mean, the Rams could have hit on some deep balls this year. They just didn't throw it. Let's see. Can't bear to watch any more Webster punt returns. No, I think Webster's not going to be there. I mean, we just need to have a punt returner. And the Jags were pretty good. They were middle to top in terms of special teams. So I'm hopeful that they'll get that ironed out. It looks like Matt Gay is our guy. So I don't think Raheem Morris had a press conference. I like Pharaoh Cooper, but I almost feel like what happened when he dropped those punts in the Atlanta playoff game, it kind of doomed him. JoJo Natson, I mean, he just was a guy who was never brought, like from one season to the next, he was a free agent and was never brought back. Yeah, it is sad that we have to let go of a Pro Bowl caliber player, John Johnson, but the Rams just don't pay safeties. That's just how it is. Cam Akers was awesome. Like that play that he had on the Wildcat where he bowled over, I think, a linebacker and went in there. I mean, I'm really excited for Cam Akers. And the Rams, for everything that's worth, the Rams are just really good at producing running backs. Really good, from Falk to Steven Jackson. And then a Zach Stacy period there with a little Trey Mason, then Todd Gurley, then Cam Akers. It's just been a steady flow. I cannot watch another Brady Super Bowl. I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Pharaoh's a free agent. He did all right this year. Xavier Jones going to put in some work on special. I don't know. I mean, I think he's just buried right now. Traven Howard comes back. Okay, linebacker. Well, he's an unrestricted free agent, I want to say, Traven Howard. However, I don't know what how many suitors they'll have for him because he really doesn't have many reps in the NFL. So, I mean, I think they could bring him back and it really wouldn't, they're not competing against much. McVay also needs new position coaches on both defense and offense. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of revamping going on, and I think it'll be telling to see who they sign, who they let go, and who they sign, and what that means for the schemes and for the draft. Listen, Malcolm Brown's going to be gone. Most likely he's an undrafted free agent. So Darrell Henderson is our second running back. And if there's anything that we learned from the season in terms of running backs, it's like you have to have at least two, because injuries will happen. Cam Akers missed time. Darrell Henderson missed time. Malcolm Brown was pretty much always there, so you had that. Yeah, we just signed Devlin Hodges. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm gonna call it, but I'm trying to think. Yeah, I didn't really get into detail on any specific thing. I'll have some official videos where I just really do a deep dive into one thing, and then we can conversate on that. But I really appreciate you all showing up. The NFC Championship game is on now. Takes me back a couple of years when Greg the Leg silenced the Saints. Oh, those are good days. But thank you, Renee House. Good to see you. Marketing Pro, Rams Nation, Trade Goff. Malcolm B is due to leave. Almost left 2 years ago. Yep. Ella Ramelia. Yeah, there you go, guys. I appreciate it. Let me know what you think, what you want to see more of. And as always, go Rams. Hold on, I got something to flip there. Nah, dropped it. All right, guys. Take care. Have a good Sunday.